My name is Kossakowski and I'm DevOps engineer at Droptica. I work here over half a year, and this is my first presentation on camp, so please forgive me any mistakes, bugs and my not exactly perfect English, but I believe you will try to understand a little bit from this presentation. I would like to tell you today a little bit about our company, about Droptica. Have you ever heard about Droptica? We are not so popular, okay. I will tell you what exactly do we do in our company, how do we work, which processes we have implemented to make our work easier. I will tell you something about our overall workflow, about our infrastructure provisioning, and about our deployment workflow. If you will have any questions, just let me know. I would like to answer them. Before we start, let's explain what exactly do we do in Droptica. We are an agile software house. We are working with Scrum, and we are creating really big websites. Droptica is focused on web development. We don't do any desktop applications or something, so only web. And we love challenges. The bigger site is the best. So the highest traffic we reported on one of our websites is about 16 million page views per month. So it's about half a million every day. The biggest multi-site, 67 sites. I mean here one single Drupal instance with sub-pages, with separated pages. The biggest user migration, 500,000 records, and it was pretty fast without any troubles. So it was good achievement. And right now the biggest database we support, about 60 gigabytes right now, 65 or more maybe. We are using Amazon Cloud to host our products. Some of them are our projects, some of them are dedicated for clients. And some pages we made for clients. We are also providing hosting services, so if you have big websites, you can come to us and it will work fast and pretty stable. This context is hard to support. Big pages takes a lot of resources, so it is not so easy to do that, and that's why we require some processes. Okay, let's take a look. We know what we are doing. Let's take a look. How does it happen that we make a great job? Droptica is a small company. We have now about 40 people, and our dev teams are divided into small Scrum teams. We are also distributed teams. We work from Wrocław, we work from Gdańsk and from Rzeszów. We have also some dedicated teams. They are working like freelancers or service. I mean here our testers team, dedicated for supporting all of the projects. Support team also for supporting the whole company. DevOps team, which makes our infra stable, and also marketing, which delivers us some graphics and other things related to it. As I said, we usually work in 3 to 5 people Scrum teams. All of them are distributed, so right now we don't have any 100% local team. Everybody works from other localizations. We use Slack and Google Hangout mainly to sync our work. And as I said before, we need to implement some processes because we need to prepare for work in distributed teams. There are also a lot of things, a lot of work to do, so we need to simplify sometimes. And why we are implementing those processes. So first of all, we would like to avoid creating bugs for creating crap code or something. We want to make our software stable. We would like also to save our time and save resources. Cloud computing, all of our sites are hosted in the cloud, so it takes a lot of resources, so we want to save them. We need also good communication, good synchronization, and clear information flow. I think probably communication is the most important thing on this list. Okay, that's the theory. Let's take a look. How does it look in practice, in details? We have base workflow. Our main process looks like this. Everything starts with infra preparation. We need to run some tests, we need to start coding, we need to make test deploys, so we need also the infrastructure. And here, of course, make that our DevOps team. The next step is coding, so devs starting here development in our Scrum teams. When the code is ready, it's time for code review. We want to verify every change that is merged to our master branches, to production branches. So every change needs to be verified by 2 people and needs to get 2 classes. So two people must give +1 to make this change mergeable. We use in this section we use tools like Git, like Ubuntu. Developers works only on Ubuntu. We don't use Windows for development. As I said, pull request. Probably nobody is right now able to do direct direct push to the master branches, to production branches. Okay, when the code review was successful, it's time for test execution, and in this step our testers team takes the project, takes the changes, and checks. If tests are successful, they are going to deploy. Sometimes this is the same day, but we need to consult with our clients when we can do a change on production. So sometimes it is the same day, sometimes not. And also here again DevOps team works, but our devs are able to do deploy. But we need to support them because sometimes not all goes well, and we need to do a rollback, we need to revert backup or something. But overall, devs are able to do a deploy. And this is our base. How do we work? This process is a little bit different in case of the project. As you know, probably every project is a little bit different, so we are not able to create one universal workflow. There are always some differences. Okay, a little bit more details. We are going deeper. Our infra is divided to 3 environments. We have development environment, we have production, and we have staging. Staging is a little bit different from development environment. It's dedicated for clients, so we can host some new changes, some new code on our staging environment before production, so client can verify changes and check if all works well and that he really wants to deploy it to production. Every project we support has own dedicated infra, and it's also hosted in Amazon Web Services. We use here infrastructure as a code. It's paradigm that all our infra is defined in code. We don't do any changes on production servers, on development environments, on staging environments live on virtual machines. We are using code to provision our infrastructure. Is there anybody here who heard about infra as a code? Okay, good. I can show you in a few minutes how does it work. This process starts with collecting requirements. So we need to get information about what exactly do we need. Some of the projects are takes more resources. Some other not so much. So we need to get information how many CPUs we need to use, how many memory, how many disk space. And then we are starting to provision our servers. This is a code. I can show you a sample. Okay, it's our infra defined in the code. We are specifying here which machines do we need, and they are provisioned. Okay. Every project has own dedicated configuration in our Jenkins. We fire all of the triggers from Jenkins, so that's why developers sometimes can do actions like deploy, like things, or do starting builds from Jenkins. We are using one Jenkins instance for the whole company. On every server created with this process, every machine has own Jenkins agent just installed. So that's why we can use one Jenkins instance per whole Droptica. When the server is ready, so we can connect to it, there are run some updates, software updates, because images hosted by Amazon not always are up to date, and we like updated images because they are more secure. So we want to be up to date. That's why we update at this time our images, and then starts our Ansible configuration, which installs some common configurations like I don't know, SSH keys, like required packages, and so after this process, every our machine looks like other, and then we can use our infrastructure. Okay, from the developer perspective, it is a little bit different. We don't use dedicated machines for development. I mean when users when our devs creating code under the desk. So they are using their own computers, and the work starts with getting the code, of course git clone, then getting files from production and the database. And it is a little bit tricky because we have GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations, European Union feature which makes us more secure. All our databases are obfuscated on production side. So our devs, probably nobody in our company except DevOps does not have access to the production data, even our CEO. So in this moment the database is clean, and developers works on clean obfuscated data. All of sensitive information like phone numbers, like names, usernames, emails, IPs, all of them are obfuscated. And the last step is to get the configuration. We need to copy some Drupal files. We work mainly on Drupal, so we need to do some configs. And in this step, we are using our application. It's named Docker Console. You can fork it on GitHub. It's open source. We love open source. We support open source. So it's a wrapper for Docker Compose, which automates some processes, like installing configuration. Okay, and after those 3 steps, a developer has own copy of the service on his laptop. We are using MyObfuscate. It's also open source program. You can find it on GitHub. Small script in Ruby, but works perfect. Works with MySQL and with Postgres. And one useful feature, it makes obfuscation process directly on the dump. So you don't need to dump the database, make obfuscation, and then import and dump again. It's one single operation. Okay, and the last one process I wanted to show you is our deployment workflow. And this workflow, also like our infra provisioning, is completely automated. So we don't need any additional steps to make here manually. We are using mostly Ansible to do that. We have dedicated created Ansible configurations. In more complex solutions, we need to use Fabric. Sometimes it is needed to update firewall, sometimes we have Cloudflare caches, we need to clean them, we need to force refresh them. So in such cases we need to use Fabric. I think it's about 3 or 4 projects. Okay, and when the software update is ready, we want to deploy it to production. We take the package, we take the sources, and update our Docker images. As I said before, we like to be up to date, so we are also do updates every deploy. And then starting with Composer update. It's PHP, so we can use Composer. Sources are updated, and finally database is updated. We do not upload database from the developer's side. It's only taken from production, so this sync works only in one way. And finally, it's uploaded to the production, and deploy is ready. Fabric is used in more complicated use cases. Okay, we have also control for crons. All cron configurations are in our Jenkins as well. So we have logs for every cron runs. We can fire them manually. We can automate them and make some monitoring. So if cron fails, we know about it because it is sent notification to our Slack channel. Okay, what's next? This workflow is not perfect, and we know about that. But we also know what we want to achieve. So we are going to implement whole DevOps process. We want to implement properly full continuous integration. Our deploys sometimes fail. Right now we need to make some changes on production. That shouldn't happen, so that's why we are going to create really automated continuous integration. Right now we are using virtual machines, so we want to migrate to Elastic Container Service. It's Amazon service which delivers us infra dedicated for containers hosting. So we don't need to provision Kubernetes or something. We have the dedicated solution for that. We want to make our releases immutable. We want to make all of the infrastructure immutable. So in the perfect way, nobody should have access to the servers, and they should be only managed by the code. We want also to implement blue-green deployment on our services. Blue-green deployment is a way where a service is deployed, and at the same time there are two instances of the site. So we can switch off the old one, and the new will be still online. So we can make switch on DNS site or something. From user perspective, it's 100% uptime, and that's why we would like to implement that. Okay, from me that's all. Do you have any questions?
Probably I missed this from the presentation, but what do you use for local development? How do you keep local development unified? Because all developers need the same infrastructure as on a server.
It is related with Docker. All of the project have specified Docker images. So if you are running Docker, you can use Windows, you can use Linux, BSD. I'm BSD fan. You can use under the desk anything. You need just to download image. We have own images dedicated for Drupal, for PHP. And that's why developer can do the code under the desk without any infra in the cloud.
Yeah, on your basic workflow you had also a part fusion. What tests are they? Like integration tests, unit tests, visual tests, automated tests?
All of them. Unit tests, integration tests, smoke tests, and we are using also Selenium for visual tests.
And it happens before every deploy? Or?
Yep.
Yeah, hi there. So you mentioned very, very briefly blue-green deploys. Have you got any ideas about the problems which you might encounter with blue-green and Drupal?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Okay. So you mentioned briefly blue-green deploy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got any indication yet of the problems you might encounter with that strategy?
But you mean? Could you?
So the problem with Drupal is that at one you're going to have content authors creating content all the time, and you also have schema updates when you might be flipping over from blue to green. So therefore the downgrade path might be extremely difficult to achieve if things go wrong in that process. What circumstance would you forward fix?
Basically, we want to do this blue-green deployment on after the migration to ECS. So we are operating on the containers in the Amazon repository. So we can minimize the downtime time using their solution. Is it the answer for your question?
Well, I think what I'm trying to do very badly is articulate that blue-green deploys with Drupal architecture is actually quite a difficult thing to achieve, and I did it with one client, but I've been unsuccessful elsewhere.
Yeah, I forgot to say that we are using right now databases shared by the Amazon. So our bases are stored as a standalone service. So we can switch any instances in every moment.
Okay, so your implementation, I think it might be easier than a typical Drupal installation.
Probably. We don't need to shut down or migrate database because it's still up.
Right. Okay, that's great.
Actually, I'm still a bit curious about the testing. So you said Selenium. What coverage are you aiming for? What do you achieve usually? Do you also test core features of Drupal, or?
Do we have any tester from Droptica here? I don't know. I can't answer your question.
Okay, so I can answer that. It depends on the client and depends on the project. Some projects are already were tested. Some of them aren't. Depends on budgets and requirements. Close to 100%. We are, in the best case. But it's not a typical project. It's really best case.
Hi. How do you manage the rollbacks if the deployment process fails?
Right now, manually. Not always. We have some configurations with scripts, and that's Fabric script. So we are taking file snapshot, we are taking database snapshot, and when it's needed to make a rollback, both are reverted. And site is offline mostly during update, so we can do a revert without any information loss.
Okay, thanks.
So it seems like a very professional workflow, so job well done.
Thanks.
In my experience, it's it's always hard to convince customers to pay for proper testing and proper workflows. Do you believe that the market is changing and that people will start to demand this, or how do clients want you to do this? What is the ultimate motivation to do all of this stuff? It's a lot of work.
It's a good question. I think it's my personal opinion. The market will be never ready for automation, for security, for DevOps, because they want to have a product. They don't want to pay for support or something. Most of clients are asking, hey, why do we need to pay so much? You are do nothing. All works fine, and that's why it's hard to do. There are many histories where administration part of the company was fired, and still something was working, projects were working, but it comes a day when all goes down, and just then they are thinking, we fired our admin, what's now? And also, clients not always thinks about security, not always thinks about stability. So, in my opinion, it's really hard to do any automations. You are doing it in the background, so our clients not always knows all of the processes. Sometimes they are getting product end to end, and they are happy it's working, it's secure, and believe it's secure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What tool do you use to sync database with transaction with those myobfuscate scripts? The simple Drush sync or something
MySQL dump. Drush was too slow. We tried to use it. We tried to use Drush SQL obfuscate plugin or something. It was really slow. Right now, dumps are about with this tool. Dumps are just about 10% slower than normal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. I believe you understand something, and that's all from me. Thanks.